Hello, friends. Are you looking for enlightening, thought-provoking, entertaining films? Check out my films, Occult Louisiana, available on Tubi, and Doors of Perception, available now on Amazon Prime.
I think it's just going to get weirder and weirder and weirder, and finally it's going to be so weird that people are going to have to talk about how weird it is. Eventually people are going to say, what the hell is going on? It's not enough to say it's nuts. You have to explain why it's so nuts. The invention of artificial life, the cloning of human beings, possible contact with extraterrestrials, the systems which are in place to keep the world sane are utterly inadequate to the forces that have been unleashed.
Welcome back to Forbidden Knowledge News. I'm your host, Chris Matthew. Today my guest is Tyler Scott. Be sure to watch my films, Occult Louisiana, which is available right now on Tubi, and Doors of Perception, available on Amazon Prime. Doors of Perception should be available on the other streaming platforms within a month or so. We are booking guests for July. If you have suggestions or you'd like to be a guest, email me, forbiddenknowledgenews@gmail.com. And be sure to visit our website, forbiddenknowledge.news. It's also the home of the Forbidden Knowledge Network, where we feature some of your favorite podcasts and content creators. Today I want to welcome back to the show Tyler Scott. He is owner of the Lost Channel CE5 Research Center and host of the X Copernicus Show. Tyler, welcome back. How you doing?
Hey, Chris. Well, man, yourself?
I'm doing excellent. Really looking forward to our discussion today. We're going to be taking an extremely deep dive into the nature of reality as it relates to non-human intelligences, as well as other beings that you call inter-frequencial beings, which I think is a great term. And you've done some fascinating research that can bring us down several rabbit holes, as I was telling you earlier. But before we do that, this is your first time by yourself here. Tell the audience a little bit about yourself and let them know how they can find out more about you.
Sure, man. Yeah, sure. So my name's Tyler. I was a police officer in Ontario for 13 years, Ontario, Canada. During the depopulation event, I was an acting sergeant. Left policing about 3 years ago. Started looking into UFO stuff. I just wanted to know if there'd been any more UFO sightings. I really had no idea. It wasn't something that was on my radar. I just got curious one day. And I learned about CE5, the Disclosure Project, where we are with that and how far UFO disclosure has actually come. Blew my freaking mind. The fact that human beings could call in UFOs with a meditation process was just so far out of my interpretation of reality that it really caused me some cognitive dissonance. I really couldn't comprehend it at first. I couldn't even comprehend how that was possible. So I really started looking into that. And then really that just turned into me looking into quantum physics and what reality actually looks like. And it's a lot different than I was told growing up in Ontario, what I've been led to believe. So that really just opened up a bunch of doors for me. I came to the realization that, people are seeing UFOs, they're actually seeing Sasquatch, they're seeing stuff in our reality that doesn't make sense from the description of reality that we've been given as a physical Newtonian thing. So I really noticed that there was a hole in dealing with witnesses and victims of this kind of stuff that, some people see this stuff and it really changes their lives and they're not really getting any answers from the left side of how our brain works or the right. Our population is kind of just kept right in the middle. We're not really allowed to know how it works from either side of the spectrum there. So started talking to witnesses in Ontario and then further out into the U.S. and I'm just trying to make some sense of what's been going on here. So now I'm doing public speaking. I talked in Toronto a couple of weeks ago at the Sasquatch conference with John D'Souza, the X-Man dude, the X-Files dude from FBI, the Paranormal Rangers of the Navajo Nation. They were there as well. But we're just a bunch of law enforcement officers that are really just trying to um, get the public up to speed with what our intelligence agencies know and have been suppressing. And I've come to realize that the rate at which people are having these experiences is really ramping up. It seems there's every day people are seeing Sasquatch or UFOs or whatever. It's not like there was one or two sightings anymore. There's literally thousands of them. So we're dipping our toes into that, trying to figure out what's going on, what reality actually looks like, how these things are possible, and then we're just kind of fractally digging into all these rabbit holes, as you say.
Right on, man. Well, I look at you and I talk to you, and honestly, it would have never struck me that you were a police officer. I'm curious how you go within a few years from being a police officer to doing this kind of research. Were you interested at all before in UFOs or the paranormal? And one more thing I'll add to this, I see this almost across the board with people. 2020 seemed to be this boot in the ass for so many people that knocked them on their true path, including myself. So that's just another observation I'd like to make. But I'd love to hear about your journey there.
Yeah, so for me, I was diagnosed with severe PTSD, complex cumulative PTSD. Never talked about any of my stuff, but I knew it was my ego that was killing me, right? I was having all kinds of issues associated with PTSD, as many police officers and emergency services do. I got to the point where it was affecting my health. I needed to do something drastic. So I started learning meditation just to be able to switch off. I didn't really believe meditation was a real thing. How I grew out the hair and that just kind of happened naturally. But to me, the biggest switch was doing these advanced, not advanced, but deep meditative states where you start to realize that for me, it was just dealing with figuring out consciousness and what consciousness really is. I always believe the model that the consciousness comes from within the brain. It's a side effect of how the brain works, but our intelligence agencies and they're not really working on the Newtonian model that we've been given in high school. They have a quantum model of consciousness, which basically, from a Newtonian perspective, our minds are in our bodies, but from a quantum perspective, our bodies are within our mind, and that really started to switch how I perceive things. So fast forward, I only the year before learned about meditation. I didn't even think meditation was a real thing. I thought it was just people having a nap. I was really ignorant about the whole thing, but so realizing that when you get into these meditative states and where your body can be completely asleep, you can hear yourself snoring, but yet you are still awake, perceiving the room around you. Something is not as I have been told. And consciousness is not contained within the body. Consciousness is everything. And your consciousness is not localized within the body. And people are having these astral experiences, traveling, remote viewing, all these crazy things that people could do. I didn't believe in any of this stuff. So then I heard about the CE5 meditation, and I thought, there's no way I'm going to believe this. It was too far out of what I thought was realistic, but I did it one time by myself, and then a short while afterwards, frickin' UFO started showing up. I was sitting on my front deck, and this metal pewtery ball about the size of, I don't know, it was far away, but I'm guessing it's about the size of a small car, came over my house as I was sitting on the front porch. And then I saw that thing a while later, while I was on a plane going to Disneyland or coming back from Disneyland. And at that point, I was really like, okay, am I freaking seeing things? Am I losing my mind? What's going on here? So then I started reaching out to our local CE5 groups in Toronto, went out a couple times with them. and then balls of light are showing up on the horizon, doing tricks, and it really, really adjusted my perception of reality, and I really wanted to know how this kind of stuff works. So that's what led to the deep dive into quantum physics and just trying to figure out. Not that I know, 1% of what people really know what they're talking about, but at least I have the concepts now where I can kind of wrap my head around it. Um, and then that's just, and I'm still working on this. I've done another one at CE5 at the Lost Channel Center there. Myself and Mike Patterson of Sasquatch, Ontario. He's a name in the Sasquatch community. I don't know if you talked to him yet or not. But myself and him, we did it up at Lost Channel, and we had a massive cigar ship show up right over top.
Wow.
It just appeared as an orb, and then it was approaching us from the south. Whenever I've seen these things, there's always been like this telepathic, like, look up, and there it is. And that's happened like multiple times now. So that happened the same thing. I was just going into the cabin to grab something and look up, and there's this ball of light just slowly approaching the cabin. And as it caught our attention, we could see that it wasn't just a ball of light. It was a physical, long, tubular craft. And we estimate it's about the size of like a 747 jet, or maybe twice the size of it, but no wings, no FAA lights, nothing like that. It had, the front of it was illuminated, and then as we noticed under the fuselage of it, it was like dimly lit, and as we noticed it, the tail light turned on, and then that tail light just kind of poured out like a liquid all the way from the tail towards the front of the thing. And it just blew our freaking minds, man. We couldn't, I believed that CE5 was real and it was possible, and seeing lights in the sky is one thing, but to see an actual physical craft show up, man, blew my freaking mind. So since then, or really been trying to prepare some intelligence for police officers specifically to deal with people who are having these experiences, because what we've been led to believe as police officers is that all this stuff is nonsense, it doesn't exist, but that's really not the case. If thousands, hundreds of thousands of people are having these experiences, it is a part of our reality. So just trying to wrap my head around how that stuff works. And that's what led to the CE5, the Lost Channel CE5 Meditation Eco Retreat and Research Center. I'm just trying to reach out to people that have had these experiences, that don't know, can't really comprehend or articulate what's happening. And that's where I'm trying to bring in some of the quantum stuff, just to fill in some blanks about people's experiences.
Right on. Well, I love what you're doing there. Have you had any, what you would call, contact or communication with either these orbs or some other intelligences during these meditation sessions?
So it started happening afterwards. So simultaneously, I found out about the Monroe Institute, their program, the Stargate stuff. I just was interested in learning remote viewing. I didn't realize all the other stuff that comes along with that. And a lot of it is to do with what we now call NHI, non-human intelligences. When you get into these deeper states of meditation, sometimes these non-human intelligences, they just kind of give you downloads. They'll just, here's a bunch of information, try and wrap your head around it. To me, I get downloads. I get just like a packet, a concept of something. I was like, holy shit, I didn't know anything about this. And then I have to try and put it into words. So yeah, I've been having what they call NHI contact, which is not voices in your head. It's, to me, people experience it differently, but to me, it's like beings from higher dimensions of reality are perceiving you as you're like you're a little video game character, and they're giving you hints and nudges, and they can give you information. But this really led to me. I turned my life into a meditation. Just every day, just walking around the yard doing meditations, trying to get into that state where this stuff is possible. And I've been doing that for a while now, and there's been multiple times where I've had these entities. I really wanted to iterate that it's not it's not a physical Martian in a UFO
Yeah.
circling the planet that's talking to you. It's things coming from within reality itself. We haven't really been told what reality is. Do you want to
Let's
get into
take a deep
that or?
dive. Let's go straight to the deep end and try and understand what these intelligence are, starting with your understanding.
So I'll just tell you how I
Mm-hmm.
see it. All right. So I'll try and make it well as simple as possible, and at the same time, it's how I understand it. I'm not a quantum physicist. I'm not an expert in anything. I'm just a dude trying to learn some stuff, right?
As are
Like
we
we all
all,
are.
yes.
Um, yeah, exactly. So for me, some things that really I didn't realize what an atom is. When we zoom in on a human being, we know we're made of cells. But what are the cells made of when we're zooming in on that? Our physics in high school told us that they were just made with smaller physical things, right? Bits and bobs of the atom. But now we have a better understanding. Now we know there's not really anything physical there at all. When you zoom in on an atom, it's mostly 99% space and 100% energy. It's not, nothing there is a physical thing. Nothing there is real from a Newtonian sense that we've been taught to perceive. I use Newtonian as physical things interacting with physical things. That's where our science stops for our high school education. But that's really only the 1%, the tip of the iceberg. 99% is what's going on underneath that. And nothing is a physical thing when we start looking at how it all interacts. Well, everything is everywhere all at once. You can have an atom in your ass and the other side of Alpha Centauri or whatever, right? And our perception of reality is really just an illusion created by perception limiting functions in the brain. An atom is made, there's nothing physical there. It's 100% energy. Energy is just light carrying information. We live in a light based holographic reality. Um, so we are literally, every cell is a hologram of a cell creating a body, and we are thinking that we are in the original reality and that there's no other realities. That's what we've been told. But when we, I like to use the example of this video game called No Man's Sky. It's just a video game that's programmed with a certain algorithm of phi ratios, whatever, but it's recreated our entire universe just using this code, this pattern of coding information. If we take that principle and then we add AI to that and let it sit for a billion years, we're going to have something like this. If we look out to the stars, we know there's trillions of stars in our galaxy and there's trillions of galaxies, whatever. Imagine that there's the original first one of those. And within that amount of planets, each planet has the ability to get to where we are today, where we can create a universe just like the one we're in right now. How many times has this happened? We are likely within a reality, within a reality, within a reality, a nested reality machine that will never know who created it originally or how to get out of it. But it's not a physical thing. That's not what's happening here. We are probably on some super advanced aliens laptop, whatever, and then there's a million other realities within that thing somewhere, right? So I really switched my perspective of a reality from being a physical thing to a virtual holographic thing. And that's what the evidence is telling us. That's what our intelligence guide whistleblowers are telling us now. That's what our quantum physicists are telling us. Yeah.
So we look at people's individual contact experiences, and there are very similar experiences, but there's also vast differences between the experiences. Some people experience pure light beings. Some people experience physical entities, different types of entities. They see different life forms. Some are taken on a craft, some are taken to different planes. The experiences can vary, and they can be achieved through altered states, through dreams, near-death experiences, it seems, or you can just be taken by the experience itself. Do you think that this is multiple different intelligences attempting to interact with us that have their own autonomy and their own agendas, their own desires, and depending on where we're at in our understanding, in our emotions, in our trauma, that is going to dictate what type of being is attracted to us, would you say?
Yeah, absolutely. The way I look at it is everything is consciousness. There is not a thing that is not consciousness. We are in a system of ascending consciousness. So, yeah, I think there's going to be beings from our 3D reality, like linear space. We know we're just looking out the window and it's going on forever. There's going to be beings from planets in that sense that are more advanced than us that want to have something to do with our planet. But there's also this what we're talking about now, different frequencies or dimensions of each. The way I perceive it is like Earth is its own reality. Within that reality, there are levels of reality or levels of the game. So how I try to articulate it is imagine just a ball of energy. There's nothing physical to it. It's a plasma ball of energy. At the center of the ball, there's a dense, the energy is denser. Things are physical, appear to be physical. That's where we are now. But as Earth as an entity evolves, it is getting less dense, less dense, less dense. So our reality is the physical dense one. The next one's probably less dense, and then it goes up and up and up from there. But that's also like looking through time and creating us. The bigger we go up in these dimensions, the more awareness, more consciousness, more of reality they are. So I'm not claiming to know who's from what dimension or where they are in that spectrum, but a lot of these beings, when people see these beings from higher dimensions come here, it's like realizing for the first time that you are perceiving reality in a low definition, and these guys are coming from a higher definition version of reality. And that's essentially what we're going to see. As the frequency gets bigger and bigger, there's going to be more information. So when they come here from higher dimensions, it's like your TV. Every year, our TV, we're getting more and more information on the TV. It's making the pictures more and more clear. And you can kind of think of it in that way. These beings are made of more information. They're coming here. They're taking all of their information, compressing it down to a smaller form, and they appear as glowing freaking angels or whatever. And all of our history has every secret sect and cult teaching and religious institutions, they all have recordings of dealing with glowing beings. And Sasquatch, people are as like a physical ape, but it can also appear as like a glowing god freaking ape being. And so there's just a whole gambit of crazy shit going on.
No, it's all good. I do want to get into cryptids later. I'd love to get your thoughts on the varying messages that are received during these experiences. Some of them can be quite convoluted. Some of them seem to lead people in great directions. Some others drive people insane. I've had my own contact experiences through meditation, psychedelics, other altered states and dreams, and I owe those experiences to where I'm at now because they've really led me down my path in such a profound way. But you hear about different types of messages that people get. Mine were very personal for my own personal growth, healing trauma, getting out of bad relationships, growing my career, things like that. Most of the messages I find are very personal like that, but there are some that try to give
Yeah.
prophecies, global information about things going on outside the person. Some of them are spot on. Some of them are complete nonsense. It seems like at times there's a trickster aspect. And like I said, sometimes the information will drive the person absolutely mad. What are your thoughts on what's going on with the varying messages?
Yeah. Well, I think it has a lot to do with the individual as well. Yeah, I'm with you. For me, it's like, yes, you can kind of consider these beings to be extraterrestrial, but they're a lot more than that. They are greater aspects of
Mm,
yourself. Every human being is like its own universe, and every part, we're all the same thing, and we are all equal, and we are just different points of attention, different perspectives, perceiving ourselves. So yeah, these beings exactly from have the exact same experience. It's like you'll get a download of information that is just so profound to you personally, and it's things that you've struggled with your whole life, and you'll just get these downloads of information that just make you see things in a completely different way in this instant, and then so profound it'll bring you to your knees. Like it's really profound. Yeah, so the people that are having messages like that, I haven't talked to many people that have had out there messages. You know, when we're talking about this stuff too, we can't ignore that there's going to be some mental health
right.
issues too. Um, and it really just takes some discernment, talking to the individual, what they are, their background and their history, and some people are just more um, want to believe stuff, and then they'll just build on stuff. It really takes a lot of discernment to tell what's you and what's coming from outside of you. And if you have these experiences, you know it's not coming from you. It's like just profound information that you've never thought of before, concepts that you've never heard of, and it's you get those downloads, and yeah, it's profound, man. Um, yeah, there's always going to be yeah, I agree with you. I think it's more personal if it has nothing to do with you and it's just random stuff to do with somebody else. I haven't experienced that. Maybe some people
Well,
do.
doing this show,
I
I
can't
speak
say.
with plenty of people who have these big
Yeah,
prophetic
yeah.
messages, or they're taken on crafts and they go fight on Mars, and all these very incredible stories. And this also brings me to the possible weaponization of frequencies, agendas that seem to be used by our ruling class, the military industrial complex, because I think that the UFO narrative has been weaponized severely. I think that there is a psychological operation going on behind ufology and the whole experience right now, and there are people who have been compromised, but there are also people who really believe these experiences, and they're so far out there, but they also have things going on in their life, like they claim to be gang stalked. They have other experiences with beings, and they can hear voices, and maybe they have military abductions going on. So a lot of the negative things may be tied into some sort of weaponized angle with frequency. And that brings me to the next thing I want to get to is how much do you think our military industrial complex is aware of this and is using it as
Well,
weapons against us already?
yeah. I'm not an expert in any of that by any means. Yeah, from what I understand, our military-industrial complex is it's like the elite old power of the planet. They've just got to the point where they have a quantum perception of reality as a virtual construct, and they understand how reality works from that perspective, where 99% of us aren't allowed to have that perception. I think at the very bottom of it, our problem as a society is we don't we're not educated on quantum physics. What does our reality look like from a quantum perspective? Well, we know now basically the speed of thought is faster than the speed of light. And this is how this is our left brained, um, tangible, literal explanation of how all these things are possible. The speed of thought is faster than the speed of light. That means we are thinking our reality into form. Every human being we know has the ability to manifest their own reality, their own life, how it goes. The people that are getting to the higher states of consciousness, they're only living for love, service to others. These are the people that are really starting to use these principles to do big changes in the world and make and change their lives for the better. So now we know we can all manifest our own reality. When we apply this to every human being together, we live in a co-creative reality. What we believe is what we perceive. So at the very bottom, I don't think it's about money. They don't need it. We know now with 0 point technology and these over unity devices that have been suppressed, that's the end of money. That we don't need money anymore. That's if we have 0 point energy, everyone's going to be a millionaire within a couple of years, and we're not going to need it anymore. So I don't think it's about money. I think it's about controlling the reality as a whole itself. This is the Illuminati stuff that we're not supposed to talk about. Think of it this way. The Simpsons. We all know that the Simpsons are predicting the future, right? They've done it a million times. It's more that they're programming the future. If a billion people have the same belief of something that's going to happen, that is creating that within our reality. So we are being programmed to experience this reality based on our education and what we believe to perceive. The people that are capable of programming and creating reality are the people that are not living in low conscious states of reality. You can imagine our moods, our emotions as the layers of reality. If you are in a fear-based, your red chakra, the lowest version of reality, as most police officers and emergency services are, it's a necessity. You have to live in a fear-based reality in order to survive. But it's so far. I was so far the other end to these people like Sadhguru and all the gurus of India and all these guys that are having interactions with inter-frequencial beings all the time, it seems. So what was your question? Where was I going?
We're talking about the weaponization and how much we think the military-industrial complex really knows. That was my question, but...
Yeah, so I think they know everything. They know how to program this reality as an energetic virtual construct. So that's why in Canada we don't have news. We don't have a free press. I don't know how many Canadians are aware of this, but all of our news and our major mainstream medias are filtered through like a handful of guys. That is the opposite of a free press. We don't have a free press in Canada. All of our information that we receive in the news is programming. Our minds work as a computer would work. Our subconscious programming, our external programming determines our conscious behavior. So if in Canada, all we see on the news is we're going to war, this is terrible, all this is whatever, that's what we're going to perceive. If the whole world is told they're going to war, that is what we're going to experience. The idea is to have as many eyes as possible on your beliefs, your interpretations of what's going on. And this is the role of our media in this on this planet.
Well, I had mentioned earlier the perceived awakening that has been occurring since 2020. I mentioned how it seemed to have knocked myself and many others on a better path, at least, maybe their true mission on this planet. But it seems that there was a pivotal moment sometime in that time frame. For me, it really started in 2012. There may have been energetic moments throughout our history that may have been more powerful, that had more of an effect on the collective. But I'd love to get your thoughts on what has been occurring And why during this time period are we starting to have these realizations and awarenesses? And you mentioned synchronicities as well. This has been so powerful. I've experienced such powerful synchronicities and manifestation events that it's become undeniable in so many ways. But what are your thoughts on what's going on right now?
To me, I think we have been experiencing a patriarchal electric version of reality. I look at it as we are in a dualistic reality. Everything is created here from the force of magnetism and electricity. Electricity is the outgoing force that think of it this way: a man is more of a manifestation of electricity, that end of the spectrum, a more of a one. We are outgoing. We're the ones that would go out and hunt and bring things back to the females, to the magnetic, to the negative side of us. We're the same being on other end of the spectrum, a 0 to a 1. Yeah. The pull to the push. Everything exists on this electromagnetic push and pull. That applies to our reality as a whole as well. We've been really experiencing, women are closer to source. They're closer to the where everything comes from the 0 point. They are magnetic. They are going back to the source. Everything is one thing at that end of the spectrum, and then we are exploring, creating on the other end of the spectrum. So we have been experiencing a patriarchal society. A long time ago, the religious organizations, they told us God was a man, and they eliminated the divine feminine. But it's all just a show. It's all just part of the program. But our patriarchal civilization has gone as far as we can go. We still are just killing ourselves because we've been, as a civilization, I had this understanding that, government is incompetent and they waste money and they're not really good at what they're doing. But it's all just okay. We're trying our best, right? That's not really the case anymore. We know now that more money has been spent to suppress human beings than is actually spent to proliferate us. They're spending trillions and trillions of our money to stop us from evolving, to stop us from turning planet Earth into a paradise, whatever. So I think now we're making the switch from the electric version, that we've taken that as far as we can go. Everything that goes out must come back, and we're just starting to come back. I think we are going through the center of this spectrum. There's going to be a period of turmoil, and then we're going to come out on the other side in a more matriarchal, magnetic version of reality, and then that version is going to be a lot better than this one.
Right on.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Now I want to get into cryptids a bit and your thoughts behind these beings and intelligences. I have a friend that was in my first film, Occult Louisiana, and we focused on his experiences with Bigfoot, as well as dogmen, other forest elementals. It just started out with a Bigfoot sighting, though. He saw this being, it spoke to him telepathically, and then it just opened him up to tons of other experiences. He wasn't even interested in any of this stuff. He's your good old boy hunter in Louisiana that just happened to come across a Bigfoot and dogman at the same time, spoke telepathically with them, and then his consciousness blows open. Now he's having extraterrestrial memories of being taken in the night, all kinds of things. But these beings seem very physical to him at least when he first saw them. He noticed after a while some non-physical aspects. But what are your thoughts on what is occurring with Sasquatch, dogmen? Why are these particular archetypes showing up, and are they physical in a sense?
Yeah, so let's take it back. Basically, everything I know about everything is our history I look at it, I have a background in law enforcement. Our science is a crime scene. Since World War II, all of our physics has been taken out of public. It's been put into these private things, and now our military has a understanding of reality that's 1,000 times farther ahead than what we have here. Our history is like that as well. We we've been taught that are the most advanced civilization that's ever existed. We know that's not the case at all anymore. Even just the pyramids alone, just one of them disproves that. We can't build them. They do things that we can't do now. They make electricity. They can make chemicals. They are so far advanced, structurally, engineering wise. We can't do it. We couldn't make those things now if we wanted to. And that's just one. So our whole history appears to be, we know there's these cycles, these yuga cycles, where everything gets wiped out. The Earth has this, what do they call it? Yuga cycles. Every so many years, the Earth does crazy things. The poles flip, or this is being disputed, but some people have pretty much have a good idea what's going on. But every so many thousands of years, there seems to be a reset. The water wipes out everything. This is in our geology, the Younger Dryas period. But we've been under this assumption that we are the first beings to live here, get to this point where we are human beings, where we can manipulate our environment and create civilizations. It doesn't seem to be the case. If you put in the evidence that's been taken away, all the crazy skeletons with human horns, giants, all these things, we know that they've existed. We have the people talking about it. There's articles. The Smithsonian just basically acts as a history cartel. They come in, and if something doesn't align with the military industrial complex's narrative of reality, that's taken into the warehouse, Indiana Jones, and stored somewhere. So there's at least many other civilizations. This process of a being on the planet whose DNA has edited and evolved into us, we know now our DNA has been edited. It's been edited in a lab setting, and we can tell your DNA has a history to it. It's like a report card. You can look back at it and say, "Oh, look, this part, this many years ago, this part was moved over here." Whatever. I'm not an expert in that, but that's basically the idea: is that we can tell that our DNA has been edited. We have so many genetic defects that's only a result of genetic editing, and on the creatures that have the next the next highest amount of genetic defects are all the creatures that we eat and call pets, and everything else has like no genetic defects. Things that have evolved on the planet, they're basically not perfect, but nothing is anywhere near as messed up as human beings are. We have like thousands and thousands of genetic defects compared to other naturally evolving unedited creatures. So it seems to be that, how many 100,000 years ago something edited our DNA and we just popped up, and we wiped out all the other humanoid species, the Neanderthals. But it just seems to be that Earth is this system where something is editing the DNA of a creature on the planet to evolve that creature much faster than what happened naturally. How many times has this process happened over and over and over again? And if you are into the channeling and that stuff, you can get information from these beings themselves. Whether this is credible, it's up for debate. But there are dudes talking about this, getting the information from the beings themselves, and they're saying the same thing, that it's not what we've been told. Planet Earth is basically an alien ant farm. Whatever Star Trek, idea that there's non-interference, maybe that's the case on other planets, but it does not appear to be the case here at all. So I think these beings, Sasquatch, there's not just one kind of them. There's all kinds of them. People see them, the ancient ones that appear like a native North American man, but just hairier. And then there's beings that, like the typical Sasquatch we think of, that are ape with conical heads. And then there's another type of Sasquatch being that appears more like a a lemur or something with a longer snout. There's all kinds of names for these guys. But there's all kinds of them. It's not just like, and then there's orangutan ones, there's little ones and islands. But it just appears that these beings all evolved to the point that they became interfrequential, non-physical, because that's all we are. We are just, and it's energy that evolves first. We've been told it's biology that evolves, right? But it's energy. Energy is always evolving. It exists in all its evolved states at the same time, quantum superposition. But I think that's basically what's going on, is that we are on this alien ant farm. There's I've tried to look at it like this. Earth is its own reality. Within this reality, there are layers of reality. We are just at the point where we're realizing there's something else going on, and we're not just physical animals on a physical rock. That's not really what's happening. But I think beings like the Sasquatch, we are left brain beings. We need to use our electric left brain to survive. We're not designed for this planet. We can't survive in the winter. We can't survive in the sun. We need shelter. We need to build homes. We need to work together. That seems like we've been designed that way, to develop our left brain, as wherein this beings like the Sasquatch, who are right brain, who are likely right brain because they don't have this requirement to find shelter. They don't have this requirement to work together to survive. They're completely right-brained, magnetic, closer to source. If you evolve like that, you're going to evolve. You're going to naturally understand the universe you exist in more. Your mind, we never actually learn anything. Everything can only be remembered. It only exists within reality itself. This is the Akashic record. Everything is already here. Everything already exists. That's what's the word I'm looking for. But we can't actually remember. We can't actually think of anything. We can only remember stuff. So these beings are more closer to that, closer to knowing. Closer, your right brain is your knowing mind. When you just learn to switch off your ego, your left electric brain, then you just start knowing stuff.
It makes me wonder if there was some sort of intentional inhibitor put within our genetics to prevent us from evolving that rapidly, like these other beings that you're saying may have evolved to interfrequency.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what's going on here. It's the only thing that makes sense to me. It's just some being is tinkering around with beings to try and make a being that can develop to this profound left brain understanding of reality, as our intelligence agencies have this now, as a reality as being a virtual construct. We're smart enough that we can figure that out instead of just knowing it, as where these beings and yeah, so is there whole generations of beings? Was there a dogman civilization? Was there a Sasquatch civilization? And all these beings have evolved into the next frequency, and then we're just kind of stuck here. But they can kind of remember what it's like to be here, and lower their frequency into ours. So epigenetics tells us now that human beings have complete control over their bodies. We have the ability to change our gene expression and address our health. And there have been cases where there's been rapid physical healing, but all of this should be possible. We're not doing it because we don't believe it's possible.
Do you think the human afterlife is connected with these interfrequential realms that contain other types of intelligences?
Yeah, that's the part I'm not really 100% on. Is there something else as well? I'm not sure. What happens when we die? I don't know. Do we just go back into like this pool of all knowing where we get to kind of pick a new experience? I'm not sure of the functioning of that stuff yet, to be honest with you. It's not something I've really dove into, but yeah, energy cannot not exist. So we're going somewhere. Our consciousness, our bodies are just essentially avatars here. and then our consciousness is something else. How much of that is retained and carried on, I have no idea. There's people that are much further down that hole than I am.
With the rapid pace that it seems humans are becoming aware and awakened, it seems almost impossible for whatever parasitic ruling class human is in charge of our reality right now to keep that control. It seems like they made an accounting error in their plot for global domination, that we would essentially break past that genetic barrier and maybe start to hit that evolution point that the rest of these beings made.
Yeah, and I don't think it even has anything to do with our genetics evolving.
Right on.
It's more of our understanding of reality as a collective. If we are in a co-creative reality, what we believe is what we perceive. In theory, if every human being got together and decided, okay, we're ducks, we believe we are ducks, you're going to turn into a freaking duck. In theory, right? That's the how to wrap your head around it. Not that that's ever going to happen, obviously, but that's kind of the principle of what this is. And then if we go into and then we listen to people talk about their explorations in the astral realms, their ability to manifest is faster. It's like, oh yeah, we can. You want an apple here, you can just generate that. But this is the part where it gets really tricky. We have the ability to manifest in this reality at a slow pace. I think as you get into higher and higher frequencies, you are still this place that we are. You remember what it's like to be here, but you're basically a god compared to what we think we are here. And these Sasquatch beings are clearly, from our perception, they are freaking gods. They can do anything. They can read your mind. They can teleport stuff into your reality. There's, I'm talking to Mr. Patterson and Ontario Sasquatch, and he's got all kinds of stories where he hangs out with this family that has had generational contact with Sasquatch, and they'll just be sitting in a room and a ball of marbles will just manifest out of thin air and drop right in front on the table in front of them. All kinds of crazy stuff.
For the last few minutes we have, what would you tell people that are ready to take that next step and make contact with some of these intelligences, whether it be through CE5 meditation or any other methods? What would be a good starting point for people?
Just start understanding the process of meditation and what is actually happening. The fact that you are awake is the universe itself, all of it. That is you. We are all the same thing. Your mind, what we believe we are as human beings, as what we've been told, is we are just our bodies, and our minds, our consciousness comes from within the mind. But that's not what's going on. You are a two-part being. You are the universe observing yourself, observing your thoughts, and the two of you together are one entity. You need to learn to shut off your ego side of you. If you can get to a point where you can shut off all your thoughts, then that greater part of reality is going to start coming in. And that's when you're going to get downloads. That's when you're going to get beings talking to you. To me, it was a necessity. I had severe PTSD. I needed to not think anymore. All my thoughts were just going over and over again about, is this motherfucker going to kill me? How do I kill this motherfucker? But you do that over and over again, and it affects your nervous system. It affects everything about you. But you need to learn how to turn that off completely, and that's what meditation is. It's just a practice of shutting that part of your mind off. And there's a million and one ways to do that. I would suggest just going on YouTube or whatever, just finding any kind of meditation for switching off. There's a million and one ways you can do it. Find one that works for you. If you want to get into the stuff, once you start doing that, the first thing, like you said before, all the information you're going to get is to sort your own shit out. what the fuck is wrong with me? Why am I have these thoughts? I don't want these thoughts anymore. Let's move on with this. You're going to get downloads of information, how to deal with all that stuff first. Once you get to a point where like, okay, I really feel like, I've got my shit together now. I know what I'm doing. The people in my life aren't bugging me. I can perceive them from a different way now. I have all these insights. Basically, the universe takes care of you. If you get to the point that you can do that, then you're going to start getting new information. Reality is an information feedback system. That's all it is. All we can do is provide information into the universe through our minds, and we are receiving information back from the universe from where we are and what we perceive. Reality is a large language model. That's all we're doing. We are at a point where we forget that we're everything, so we can learn new things and take things from different perspectives.
Yeah, I love that, man.
So if you want to get, then there's the Monroe Institute. Obviously, if anyone is interested in and NHI communication and remote viewing and that kind of stuff. That's the that's from what I understand. That's like there are other institutions out there, Farsight and other remote viewing ones, but the Monroe Institute is like the CIA funded public version, and you can do that, and it's fucking bonkers, man. Things are really gonna things are gonna happen, and the entities that come through, you think they're gonna be like Zolar 5 from Nebula, whatever. It's not like that, right? It's like the higher dimensional beings are concepts of reality themselves. I've had beings that tried to explain to me, like, yeah, we're not really physical like you think we are. We are more like how thought arranges itself in higher dimensions. We are those beings. Everything in our reality is everything that's here is consciousness and intelligent being. There is nothing here. All energy is intelligent. It's all communicating with each other. It's all learning from each other. Everything in our reality is an intelligent being. And that includes your emotions. So in higher emotions, there's going to be a being that represents anger and whatever. And this is like the gods, the Roman gods and Greek gods and whatever. They're beings that are higher aspects of reality themselves. Everything in this reality is to create you. You are the source. You are the source of this reality, as well as on the other end of it, that the higher aspects are thinking you into existence. It's a retrocausal back and forth.
Yeah, man, I love it. This is such great information. Before we close out, let the audience know a little bit more about what you're doing over at the Lost Channel CE5 Research Center.
Yeah, so Lost Channel. So I've done CE5 a couple times now. It's been so effective that I've really just slowed down because I needed to wrap my head around what's possible. Seeing lights in the sky is one thing, but people that are going into this and really taking it, they're having beings show up in their bedrooms, in their backyard. That's a different story altogether. So I wasn't really prepared for that yet. Maybe down the line, but so you can find me at on Facebook, Lost Channel CE5 Meditation Eco Retreat and Research Center. I'm doing this as well when I talk to people, the Ex-Cop Show. I haven't really started to do any socials for that. So just find me at Lost Channel. I'm talking to witnesses in Canada. We're offering victims, I don't want to say victim, but witnesses to inter-frequencial reality if they have questions from the left brain perspective. I'm trying to offer some insight into what's going on. Maybe I have no idea what I'm talking about, but I'm doing my best. This summer we have a public CE5 in Barrie, Ontario, north of Toronto, and then we have a smaller one at Lost Channel. And there's other witnesses that have seen the same craft as me. They've just exactly what you're talking about, synchronicities. They've just popped into my reality like, hey, I saw that exact same craft. I have it on video. They can find me if anyone's interested. You can message me. It's on my page. So we have multiple experiencers of this cigar UAP. We want to find out who's behind the wheel of that thing. We have some insight from some other people. Another remote viewer has seen the same thing, and he said that it was piloted by Sasquatch beings.
Wow.
So we're yeah. Yeah. There's all kinds of stories we can talk about that stuff, but so last channel, we're doing CE5. We're really trying to make actual contact. We want to be one of the teams that are making contact for Canadians and being the ground for that, because it's happening. We're at this time now. We're going through the process. There's people all over Canada that are having, mantis being show up in their backyard or whatever. There's wild stuff happening.
That's crazy. Tyler, thank you so much, man. This was great. We'll definitely have to have you back on soon in the future, get deeper into some of this stuff. And until next time, everyone, have an excellent evening. We'll talk again tomorrow. See y'all then.